Shavua Tov, everybody. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land, where we take a look at those top stories making headlines, and we do it every Monday to Thursday. So let's get into it, shall we? And we begin by saying a hearty Mazal Tov and Bahatzlacha to Liz Truss, the now former Foreign Secretary, beat out Rishi Sunak in a vote by the Conservative Party, or the Tory Party, however you want to call them, to become the leader of that party and also replace Boris Johnson as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Now, the question that many of our viewers want to know is, what is Liz Truss's relationship with the State of Israel? Well, in the run-up to her election, Truss made mention of the fact that should she win, she would seriously consider moving the embassy of the United Kingdom from its place in Tel Aviv to the capital, Jerusalem. She has also appealed for stronger sanctions against Iran and has said that not on her watch will Iran become nuclear. Now, we can't forget that when she was Foreign Secretary and our Prime Minister, Yair Lapid, was also Foreign Minister, they co-authored a historic joint op-ed that was featured in the Telegraph newspaper. The whole premise of that was increased cooperation by our two countries, as well as preventing a nuclear Iran. So what does the next couple of hours have in store for Liz Truss? Well, she will make her way up to Balmoral in Scotland tomorrow, where Her Majesty the Queen will charge her with the role of forming a government in her name. Now, just moments ago, our Prime Minister Yair Lapid, as well as the head of the opposition Benjamin Netanyahu, congratulated her and said that she is a great friend to the State of Israel. In other news, we are expected at 4 p.m. today to hear the results of the IDF's independent probe into the fatal shooting of Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akle. If you recall, in May earlier this year, Abu Akle was killed during a heavy gunfire battle between terrorists in Jenin and IDF counter-terror units. Now, at the time, there was social media reports that the terrorists that were firing on IDF troops in Jenin had initially said that they had hit a soldier. Subsequent investigations had found out it wasn't a soldier, it was in fact Abu Akle. Now, this operational probe that has been conducted by the IDF has been done so under pressure by the United States. The United States Foreign Office said just a couple of months ago that they believe the fatal bullet was fired by IDF soldiers, albeit in error. Now, the IDF has not ruled this out. In fact, independent probes carried out by both the United States as well as the Palestinian coroner found that it's inconclusive who was responsible. The IDF have said that, they're not ruling out the fact that one of their soldiers could have fired the fatal shot, but it would have been a tragic accident. So we will be waiting at 4 p.m. to hear what the army have said about the findings of their probe. One hopes that if they also have inconclusive findings, that this will be put to rest. There have been concerted efforts, especially by Israel's detractors on campuses, on social media, to accuse Israel not just of killing Abu Akle, but of assassinating her deliberately. The IDF operate by a very strict code of conduct and do everything in their utmost to prevent civilian casualties. Now, just on a personal note, I have been down to the border with Gaza at a time of great tensions, and I can speak from first-hand experience how the IDF have kept journalists away from any kind of fray, if that is humanly possible, in order to prevent more casualties. Now, while we're speaking about the IDF, we also have to say a hearty congratulations to Herzi Halevi, Halevi was announced yesterday by Defense Minister Benny Gantz to be the incoming Ramatkal or IDF Chief of Staff, and he replaces outgoing IDF Chief of Staff Aviv Kochavi, who has already extended his tenure. Halevi has quite an extraordinary CV. He is currently the Deputy Chief of Staff and has commanded major units such as Southern Command, as well as served in the Military Intelligence Directorate. He is named for a relative who fell during the Six-Day War. We wish him everything of the best as he takes on this important portfolio. Now, today and tomorrow, Israel and Germany mark 50 years since the Munich Massacre at the Munich Olympics in 1972, where 11 Israeli athletes and their coaches were brutally murdered by Palestinian terror group Black September. We can't forget those ominous words, "They're all gone," that was claimed or stated by a ABC journalist, Jim McKay, reporting live on events as they unfolded. So let's go back to what happened in 1972. Black September terrorists managed to infiltrate the Olympic Village and kidnapped and held hostage 11 athletes and their coaches. 2 were initially killed on site, and the remaining 9 were taken to an Air Force base after many blunders by the German police, who really didn't want to engage in a military operation just decades after the end of Nazi Germany. This blunder led to them ignoring the requests for Israeli counter-terror and the Mossad to get involved. As a result, the 9 Israeli athletes and their coaches were brutally murdered. 1 German police officer also lost his life. Now, we don't count the Palestinian terrorists who were eliminated amongst those officially dead. But once again, it sent a message, a chilling message to the Israelis watching and to Jews around the world that Jewish blood was once again being spilled on the soil of Germany. Following the tragic events, Golda Meir, who was Prime Minister at the time, initiated Operation Wrath of God, which saw terrible mistake, Mossad operatives hunt down and kill those responsible. Now, today, in just a matter of hours, there will be a commemoration event taking place in Munich. Our president, Isaac Herzog, is in Munich along with the First Lady, and they will attend. Yesterday, the president met with German President Steinmeier, who said that it is a great blunder on behalf of Germany that it has taken 50 years to reach some kind of compensation agreement with the families. Now, there was some controversy around this. The families initially refused to attend the commemoration event, saying that the amount offered to them was insulting. Well, after weeks of negotiations, the estimated offer is at about 28 million euros. Now, this doesn't replace a life because you cannot quantify the value of a life. But what it does acknowledge is German responsibility for their failures in helping to secure the release of the 11 athletes and coaches. Earlier today, President Herzog met with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz as well, the two discussed the importance of making sure that Iran does not become nuclear. And we will bring you updates from the ceremony today on our broadcast tomorrow. So that brings us to the end of today's edition of the Israel Brief. Please don't forget to visit our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook community, steadily growing, can be found at Lottel's site. You guys know what to do. Like us, follow us, share our content. We are also on YouTube. Our channel is at the Israel Brief. If you are watching us on YouTube, please click on that red subscribe button. Let's get the news from Israel out to as many people as possible. And we, of course, are on Twitter at Lay of the Land 5. I'm Roly Marks for the Israel Brief, and I'll see you again tomorrow as I bring you your top stories.